As Canadian winter scenes go, it could have been lifted straight from the pages of Rock Carrier's classic children's tale, The Hockey Sweater. Amid an early December snowstorm in the nation's capital, the Toronto Argonauts and Calgary Stampeders played a football game for the ages in the 105th Grey Cup. And while the vaunted Stampeders looked poised for redemption following last year's heartbreaking overtime loss to the Ottawa Redblacks, that redemption ultimately went to a player who was cut from Toronto's roster in August. Never lacking belief in himself though, veteran safety Matt Black took every opportunity that came his way, eventually finding his way back to the Argonauts when fellow safety Jermaine Gabriel was hurt. And the spotlight was all his as the final minutes of the Grey Cup ticked down, with Mr. Black picking off Calgary quarterback Bo Levi Mitchell's desperation heave into the end zone to seal the Argos victory. Story continues below advertisement. For the Toronto native, gaining the opportunity to win his second Grey Cup in 5 years was as surprising as it was unlikely. I knew I could still play the game at a high level, it was just I definitely thought my time in Toronto was done, he says. I thought that the organization had moved in a different direction, I had no hard feelings to it. Did I like it? No, but I understood it from a business standpoint, from a football standpoint. The way that the game played out for Mr. Black and his teammates, with the Argonauts trailing for almost the entire 60 minutes, was just the icing on the cake for a season of soul-searching amid adversity. It's a roller coaster whirlwind, and to finish the year off with a Grey Cup win, when I sit back and I look at it, you can't write a better storybook year, not only for myself, but for the franchise in general, Mr. Black says. In Canada's 150th year since Confederation, the safety adds that the game provided a great advertisement for the Canadian Football League in general, in the first Grey Cup to be held in Ottawa in 13 years. While the conditions were less than idyllic for the players, it created a great spectacle for those in the stands and watching on TV at home, complete with a memorable halftime performance by Canadian Shania Twain, who entered the stadium on a sled being pulled by Huskies. I don't think you can get more quote-unquote Canadiana than that game, Mr. Black says this is the quintessential Canadian football game. If you were to go around the world and poll people about what a Canadian Football League game looked like, that's what they would say it looks like. Two teams, playing in a blizzard, the halftime performer coming out with sled dogs. I don't know what could be more quote-unquote Canadian than that 105th Grey Cup. For Mr. Black's teammates, his ability to earn a second chance to stick with the Argos is simply a measure of the man he is. Chris Van Zyl, an offensive tackle who has played with Mr. Black for the past 9 years, says that despite the hurdles his teammate faced, he never let self-doubt creep up on him. Story continues below advertisement.